He launched an acting career playing a perfectly sculpted strongman, but quietly, actor Kevin Sorbo has also been using his acting platform and his faith to touch the lives of thousands of children in need. And today, he's sitting down with us in Studio 5. Actor Kevin Sorbo is the picture of Hollywood's staying power, with more than 40 films to his credit, and a television series people are still watching years later in reruns. You are best known for Hercules, and of course that deals a lot with strength. Where does your strength lie?
Well, certainly with God. I mean, that's a big cornerstone for my life. I grew up in a Lutheran church. I remember it was this fire and brimstone pastor, and I said to my parents, I was about 11, I said, I don't think God's that angry with us. I think he's a pretty cool guy. I think he's sad when we do things that are wrong, that we know are wrong. But, you know, that's a big foundation. My parents were huge in my life. My father passed 2.5 years ago, and I miss him every day. He was the best man at my wedding. But my parents were, you know, my dad was a school teacher, my mom was a nurse, but we had 5 kids. I'm the 4th of 5, so she was at home most of the time. She stopped nursing. And it was just, you know, they were always very supportive in academics and athletics, but also the foundation of Jesus was always there for us as well.
Sorbo was raised in a Christian home and personally accepted Jesus Christ into his life when he was just 13 at a Billy Graham crusade. It's a faith that has sustained him throughout his successful career.
Do you think you're smarter than me, Wheaton? Do you think there's any argument you can make that I won't have an answer for?
I never said I was smarter.
That's the first intelligent thing you've said. Now, I want to make this clear. In that classroom, there is a God, and yet I'm him.
God's Not Dead, the highest grossing independent film of 2014.
Yeah.
I interviewed the writers. They describe it as a simple story. What do you think was so special about that story and that role for you?
You know, they wrote a great script, and I loved playing that part. I mean, I was fortunate to be in the central story of that whole, playing the atheist professor who torments his you know, freshman student for having a belief in God. And, you know, people can say it doesn't happen. I know it happens. I got friends in college who went through this. My niece and nephew went through it. And, of course, they show 28 court cases during the credits to say, look, this is going on. There have been 2 more that I've heard about in Santa Barbara and Florida recently. And that's not why people send their kids to school. You know, they send their kids to school to learn. And it's interesting that we have this indoctrination going on in our college campuses. But it tells a great story, and I love playing that part. It was so well written. And I know atheists, and I've seen atheists on TV, and they're so angry about something they don't believe in. And I just go, really? Wow, you should be this way about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny then, because it goes every way around. But, you know, I say there's that movie Crash that came out years ago, Sandra Bullock. And I think it's a faith-based crash, because you have about 5 stories that go on, and at the very end, they all sort of come together at the end. And I think people are looking for this. They're looking for well-written movies. They're looking for message movies that have a moral compass to them that people can relate to.
Beautiful. And speaking of message movies, Gallows Road is your latest. Deals with the issue of race.
That's me. That's Ernie.
Very strongly.
It does. Yeah.
In light of what we were going through in our world, we've seen Charleston, Ferguson, Baltimore. The list seems to go on.
Sure.
It doesn't seem to be stopping. What do you think is wrong? What's happening?
I think there's just, you know, you start with the family structure as well. And you look with, I've seen statistics saying that 80% of our black youth are being raised without a father. I think it's important you have a father in their life. I spoke 3 days after the Baltimore riots broke out. And I was going there for Youth for Christ. They booked me 6 months in advance. This was just odd, weird timing in a way. And we had a huge audience of 1,600 people. And I said, look, we have to look at why these kids are doing what they're doing. Certainly they feel disenfranchised. They feel like they're economically struggling. They feel like they have no chance to have anything in their life. I have the #1 after-school program in the state of California called the World Fit for Kids. I work with over 12,000 inner-city kids in LA. We have a 54% dropout rate in that city, as low as 5th grade. For 18 years now, we average 98% graduation rate with our 12,000 kids. So they're looking for somebody who cares about them, somebody that says, you know, you can be a mentor to young kids within your community. And that's what we need to do with them. Those kids, if they had God in their life, do you think those 15 to 25-year-olds who have been out there doing what they're doing, looting, destroying public and private businesses, would have never happened?
God is indeed the answer.
Yeah, no question.
All right. Thank you. Excellent.
Are we done?
We're done.
Awesome.